Welcome to the Dr. Ferrer Podcast, hosted by pulmonologist and author Dr. Gustavo Ferrer and me, Amanda Ferrer. Welcome back to the Dr. Ferrer Podcast, where we talk about living longer, aging better, and finding peace even when life gets hard. I'm Amanda.
I'm Dr. Gustavo Ferrer. I'm a pulmonologist, and I have walked alongside thousands of people in different stages of their life. And today, we're going to be challenging one of the most common myths that was sold to humanity during the last 100 years, that retirement is the goal. It shouldn't be.
Well, you've heard your whole life, you make it to 65, save up and slow down, you've earned your rest. It's important, obviously, but also purpose is also important, and we're here to tell you something different. Retirement isn't the finish line, it might actually be your starting line.
That's exactly right. If you are in your 30s and you're feeling burnout, or you are in your 20s and feeling burnout, you are in your
Yeah.
50s and feeling tired, restless, or you are in your 70s and you are still searching, I strongly believe that this episode is for you.
Yeah.
Let's dive into this. Let's talk about reinventing ourselves, rebuilding our lives, keep the light burning, keep moving forward.
Yeah. So starting with retirement, obviously this is something we've heard our whole life. Um that it's something like a big goal you should reach for, right? Kind
Yeah,
of.
I think we should start with the obvious.
Mhm.
Retirement is a modern invention. From the creation of times, retirement was not part of the picture. From the creation of time, retirement was not part of that picture. We came to this conclusion during the Industrial Revolution. The people start thinking that after you work certain amount of decades in a job, you should stop and retire. But forever, we had never done that. Humanity evolved in different phases. And when people got into their 50s and 60s and 70s, they change role in society, but they never stop. That idea that you need to stop and vanish and disappear into a golf course or in
Sounds nice though.
a recliner, drinking beer, it doesn't work. Research
Yeah.
actually supports entirely the opposite.
So what is the plan instead of that? Or maybe changing the viewpoint? I don't know. Like, what do you think?
I think we need to reinvent ourselves. I think we need to search for second, third, fourth ads in our lives, and finding things that keeps us alive, things that bring purpose to our daily life, and things that makes us wake up in the morning. That's what we're going to be pursuing and must pursue.
I mean, you said it earlier that this is something that's new, it's modern, but you mentioned science. What do you have any like research about the people that live the longest or the happiest or something that we can kind of base our answer on? I know we mentioned it last podcast about um the different cultures, but what does research have to say about that?
Absolutely. The research in this topic keeps evolving, and let's divide it in two. I have mentioned before a very well known book called The Blue Zone, and
Mm,
in the Blue Zone, they actually explore, the author explore those communities where people live longer. And when he got into, for example, the Japanese, the Okinawans, one of those islands where people tend to live to the hundreds, they have something that they call the ikigai, which is IKIJAI, which is mean what are the things that makes me wake up in the morning. And the other one is in Costa Rica. Costa Rica has another blue zone, and in Costa Rica they call it plan de vida. It's where you're planning with your life, things that makes you also have purpose to be alive. And in every other of those blue zone, going here in California, we have Loma Linda, where there is 7 days Adventist community that tend to be the longest in America, is one of those blue
Hmm.
zone. They also have this engagement, socially, emotionally connection that allows them to thrive and keep living longer. But there is also an enormous amount of research. Just in 2024, the Journal of Epidemiology published a paper about loneliness in America. And it happens
Yes,
that
we
people
talked
that
about
get
that.
into loneliness
Yeah.
faster, 90% of them are actually uh, retired people. So the great majority of people that stop and retire, they get into phases of loneliness and separation from society. There is also a sense of losing their identity. Many of us get identified for or what we do, and by losing that, we lose the connection with the fabrics of society. And
Yeah.
that's when depression comes, disability, lack of energy, and losing this desire to be alive. So the evidence is overwhelming.
Wow, just from retirement?
That's exactly right. Just from retirement, people they lose this habits that they created that allow them to be connected with,
That kind of makes sense.
exactly,
That kind
connected
of makes
between
sense.
people and bring
Yeah.
them value to what they do.
Yeah, and kind of having a routine. I mean, I don't know because I'm not in retirement, but with if you're in before you get into retirement, you kind of have that routine of having a schedule and going to school, going to class, going to work, waking up, taking the kids, blah blah blah. And that kind of obviously all changes when you go into retirement, depending. And I've heard a lot of people that go into retirement and then they're like, you know what? I need a job. I'm bored. Let me get out of retirement. I've heard so many. I have so many friends that their parents went into retirement either relatively early at like their 50s and then decided to do like a
That's
get
very
out of
early,
retirement. Yeah,
very early.
it is. But
So,
I've had people that I
but they
know,
do, yeah.
and they want to go back to a routine because that's what working and going out and not staying at home all day in a community with the same people that you see every single day kind of brings.
We were not created to stop. We were not created to just isolate.
Mhm.
This is an script that was built into our brains, into our society, especially in Western civilization. Um,
Mhm.
Talking especially in Europeans and Americans are the pioneer creating this, what was thought to be a noble idea,
Of
that
course.
you get to a certain age and then you stop. But today we know that that's not the case. We need to start thinking about um, reinvention, how we're going to be changing. Mm, finding um finding things to do that bring freedom, because when you reinvent yourself, you're freeing yourself to create. And
Mhm.
if you connect that with a purpose, it is transformative. It will light you up, will bring new opportunities that, probably the wisdom that you have accumulated to the years
Mhm.
are the engine that will take you to that next phase.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a mission change. I feel like all seasons of life kind of have a sort of mission that you should kind of strive for, and I feel like once you start reaching that point of possibly retiring is when you should be like, "Okay, wait, is this what society's telling me or is this something that like I actually want to do?" You know?
That's exactly right. One of the premises of this show is that we want to share evidence, and we want to look into the blind spot and things that we get bombarded daily, um, mm, through the media, through traditional concepts, whether are related to living longer or sleeping better.
Mhm.
All of those are ultimately connected to living a life that is plentiful, that
Yeah.
is overflowing. And this is exactly what we want to do in this show. It's to shine that light into this. um, do we have to retire. The answer is not, but we have to reinvent ourselves. That doesn't mean that you have to remain in the same job
Yeah.
for 40, 50 years. And if you are one of those, congratulations. But if you are in your 70s and you are feeling that you have given all you have to a certain career path, well, you reach the moment that you start searching what you're going to do next, or your 80s. Doesn't matter how old you are. If you get that spark, if you get that wrestle questioning of what you should do,
Mhm.
that's the time that you need to consider reinventing yourself.
And what does reinvention look like for you? Or what would you tell someone that's kind of struggling with that?
Well, that's an excellent question. I think um, we let's put it this way. Let's look into three simple things that we can do to explore this idea of changing, of
Mhm.
searching for the second act. The first thing is very human, is very personal. First thing that we should do is not asking, what should I do? Not going online and typing in chat GPT or any of the
Something I
AI
would do.
box. I know your generation, my all generations now, and I'm falling for that.
Yeah.
Um, Please, they're not human. There are
Mhm.
softwares, and you're asking questions that are very emotionally driven,
Mhm.
and those are questions that you need to ask yourself.
Yourself, yeah.
Rather than, what should I do? We need to rephrase the question and ask, what are the things that make me feel alive? What are the things that spark the necessity to do something? And just begin there. And if you want to add something to that question, I strongly recommend that you write it down. Write it down. Write down the things that makes you feel alive, the things that um, you know that you will do something that will bring satisfaction to you and will advance humanity at whatever level. So write it down. Then I would say that one of the biggest mistakes we also make when we are creating something or making a change is to consider to do those things drastically. uh, that works sometimes for some people, but for most people, you just need to make a micro shift. You need to find changing a habit, something that is opposite to the personal script that you have
Mhm.
developed through your years, and explore those, because those little subtle changes will create momentum, and momentum will take you into the next phase where the big momentum will drive you up into that phase of exploring for your emotions. Second, what shall we do in creating that little steps, habits that will take you to the next phase.
Mhm.
One more thing that we should do and consider is looking into people that have done it. Um, you know,
Yeah.
Go and talk to somebody that have done it, that have changed career in whatever age they are, and they have looked into something else to do something else with their lives. And
Yeah.
I can tell you from a personal experience. I dive into a career where we become doctors when we get the diploma, and then when they close our casket, that's what we have done.
Yeah.
Um, Give it all to humanity, to patients, and seeing patients. However, medicine is one of the most incredible, versatile career in the world. In the last 15 years, I have made several change in my life. One day I decided I'm living where I was at Cleveland Clinic, and the next day I was doing something else. It was very challenging, um, but all these steps drove me to the things that I do
Yeah, and it came from
today.
something personal. It's what you wanted to do. It's your desire. Something that strive that like had a like you had a passion for it. And I love to see
Absolutely,
that, especially the last point of talking to someone who's done it. I love to see that in like older people who have a job but they don't do it for the money. It's more for like a passion, especially in something like a hobby. Not like an old person who's um like bagging groceries at Publix. Maybe they do like that. Maybe they like the conversations that they get from the people that they're, giving their groceries to every day. And it's just like, new people in and out, different generations, different seasons of life, a young person, a mom, a dad, older people. But I love seeing people that have a hobby that they're still interested in, and maybe they teach for free, or they teach like a piano teacher. They'll teach someone for free, or they'll teach like kids in the community, or just because they have that passion and they still are able to do it, so might as well do it until the day you die. I think was my piano teacher in retirement when I was younger. Do you
Yes.
remember?
Yes,
I don't
absolutely.
remember.
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah.
And he was my neighbor. I loved him. His name was Mr. Farago. Rest in peace. He was an amazing teacher. And he had so much passion for it at such an old age.
He
And
was in his 90s.
yeah, yeah. He had such a passion for it. I don't think I ever saw him get up from his chair, but he taught me so well all the foundations that I know in piano. And I think that was so inspiring cuz and he created a connection with us. It was so like personal, and you can tell that that was like something that he really looked forward doing to anyone. He would host recitals and he had all of these students. He did piano and violin, which is crazy cuz being that old and holding a violin, I don't know how he did it. But um that's just something that's like I still think about all the time.
Because there's not expiration for a purpose. He did have a purpose in his life, and he was able to reach out and make that happen, even when he wasn't able to walk. Um, but he used to be a professional player. He used to be part of the National Symphonic Orchestra.
Mhm.
Then he retired, and then he moved on to the next chapter that took him to very lengthy, extended, l- purposeful life. So that's what we should do. There's no expiration for that.
Yeah, it's just such an amazing story, and it was placed perfect for us, for me, in the time that I was and the age that I was at. And I think, I mean, I can't really think of anything else right now, but with retirement coming closer and closer every day for me, unfortunately, all of us, not retirement, just the age that people think we should be at for retirement. I think it's
How old do
like,
you think you are?
bueno, 30 something years from now. Yeah. 40. Time is moving fast. Time is moving fast. But taking it day by day slowly.
I want a slow process.
I also want a slow process. I want a
Okay.
very slow process. I feel
I'm
like
having a very much wonderful time in what I'm doing today. So
no,
I want to keep
absolutely.
enjoying this for the longest.
Yes,
Mm.
yes. And I think that's what the idea should be. It's not like, okay, are we almost reaching there? What is my goal for retirement? I feel like it should go little by little, like season by season, like we were saying earlier. Like, this is the age where I'm doing this right now. And like maybe I can look at 5 years in the future. But I feel like looking even further kind of pushes away the purpose that you have right now. Maybe not the purpose, but the passion you have right now, because you're looking at something so far in the future that you don't even know if it's going to change
Or if it's going to happen.
or even if it's going to
So
happen.
the concept of retirement includes a great human perception of time.
Mhm.
When those concepts, I wasn't there, but hundreds of years ago, research shows that the idea was that the industrial revolution was consuming people's life.
Mhm.
French people and in England were the first few that said, okay, we may have to consider having people work um, in factories and places like that,
Yeah.
limiting the number of hours. Then we have things that happened in the early 20s. We had the fire that happened in Chicago in the factory, where many of the unions that we have today, they were
Mhm.
born. and May 1st, actually, the International Day of Labor. But when you look into the emotional part of that, was that, hey, I'm giving everything to this, and I'm not paying attention to the things that I could do with my life, or the things that I want to do with my life, but with the time that I have passing through this amazing planet. So the entire society was looking into how can we limit the number of hours and find opportunities outside that we can rest. This is was one of the biggest
Like the
concepts that
main
they were trying to do.
ideology. Yeah.
Correct. Rest, and then find things that are useful for myself and for the society at large. However, um, many years have passed, and 100 years later, we are in different stage. We have a predetermined number of hours that we will work. We have a predetermined number of hours that we should be sleeping, and many of us are not.
Right.
But there are certain perceptions that should have changed along the line of how labor has evolved in the planet, and they didn't. And part of that is the concept of, oh, I have to reach my 65 to really slow down and see and observe. Um, Part of the biggest challenges that we have today with the concept of burnout, at any generation, I have seen reports that kids in high schools are calling themselves that they're burnout. So you
Hmm.
see those kind of reports, and then you got to step out of the chess game and look at society at large and said, okay, what am I missing here? What are the things that I should be engaged or do? For the most part, when you drive yourself into that conversation, it goes back to the first question that we explore. It's not what should I do, is what are the things that really make me feel different, alive, spark something in me
Yeah.
that is a new creation, it's a new reinvention of myself. Whether you're still on the same job or you decide to find something else that will bring you to that.
Mhm.
This is an ongoing and evolving pursuit of purpose, and that bring lives. And that actually makes you slow down, because if you are enjoying your daily life, even when you are busy, you close your eyes at night and you really remember, great memories that you have built through the days and months. We're living that today. Mm?
Mhm. Yeah.
We full of memories, full of places and things that the job that we do is taking us. And it's like you're in a slow motion going through that, and it brings great satisfaction. So the gray perception that was created in the original concept of retirement has changed, and we all need to
Yeah.
change. And I think your generation, it is, and my generation, society at large today, in this junction that we are between technology, um, society, and social media, we're living another industrial revolution. And I
Yeah.
wonder if 100 years from today, we will be talking about burnout as the same way that we talk about retirement. And
Yeah.
so,
A
from
concept that's like
a concept that is evolving
yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Mm. And at the end, the root of both of them, retirement, burnout, excessive tiredness that is endlessly, the root of that is that we are losing purpose and passion for life. So let's look into this. Let's find ways to understand that at the bottom of all of this, we need to explore our humanity, and we need to make decisions. And I know change is difficult. Change
It really
is,
is, especially if you're older and it's
oh my,
something that you're already used to for so long. I find that in the industry that we work in right now with technology and doctors being doctors for 20 years, and it's a platform that they've used for the past 15 years, and they don't care about learning anything else, or they don't care about the change that's evolving right behind them, and it's creeping up on them, and they're just still using the computer that's from 1995. It's like, okay, we don't use that anymore. We don't send things by paper. Everything's digital. Small things like that that you just have to start getting used to the change now before it's the norm and you just don't know how to react. And I feel like that's what a lot of people struggle. Even at my age, there's a lot of things now that I'm like, wow, this is very different. Like, I feel like I grew up in the generation that was right between the boom of technology, having no technology, and then having technology at such a young age, and having that change even with me, I feel like affected me a lot and my brain wasn't even fully developed. For the people that their brains have been fully developed and are already very, very developed with what they know, their knowledge, their wisdom, their experiences, it's hard to have a mission change later in life.
It is really hard, and I concur with that. But if we are at a time of history where that process should be easier than ever is today.
That is true.
Technology allows us to rethink ourselves. So I would say that we are not meant to retire. We're meant to reinvent ourselves periodically. How often that is going to be, make sure that you don't do that every week or every
Of course.
month or anything like that.
Of
Purpose needs
course.
to grow and expand. But we don't have expiration date to pursue purpose. We were created to or made to grow, to thrive, not just rest. Rest is a small portion in that process, and it well could be that your next chapter, my next chapter, listeners' next chapter, well could be the best one. Will be the best
Yeah.
act,
And you
the
never know.
final
Yeah.
will never come if you pursue purpose endlessly.
Yeah. It could be something that you don't even know will happen until you try it or until you kind of give it a shot, kind of dabble with it for a little and then maybe it decides to flourish. But um I think with all of these points that we have learned today and the three main points that were mentioned towards the end, this episode should be sent to someone who needs this as a reminder. Um Maybe you are struggling with this idea, you don't know the next steps, or you're just someone young like me that this is good advice to think about in the future. Remember to subscribe to our show on YouTube, on Instagram, and so that you never miss an episode. I think these are amazing points that I've always heard my whole life that I think everyone should start hearing and taking notes because this is documentation for the future. And if you want, you can send us a message on Instagram at the Dr Ferrer Pod. We'd love to hear your stories on how you're reinventing or planning on reinventing yourself.
I want to say thank you for being here. I challenge you to look inside and trying to reinvent yourself. Thank you. Take a breath, and until the next time, take your power back. Thank you.